Hello everyone, Andrew at Fixology. Sorry it's been a while. I have just been absolutely swamped at work, so I just haven't really had the time to do anything. I didn't have too many devices come by me anyway, so it wasn't the end of the world, but I wasn't able to post any videos in the last week and a half. But I have this one here, and then I do have a couple iPads coming in, so that'll be fun. We'll go and tackle those guys. Otherwise, today what I have is I have an iPhone X, the regular X, not the XS or the XR. And this one is from a family member, and they need a new battery in it. Which the X's, they've had power issues in the past, so I'm not too surprised, just disappointed. If you do check the battery settings on these devices, they can be misleading. Hers says it's only 88%, and it's only lasting about 8 hours, and that's with it just streaming music, which seems very lackluster, considering I think my Galaxy S9 could go for like almost 20, 22 hours just constantly playing music. But maybe that's because I had set it up differently. I don't know. Anywho, she asked for a battery, so I am going to comply and get her a battery, and we're going to do that here. So, as always, I did put it on the hot plate for about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to get everything nice and goopy and easy to use. And we're going to start off by always removing the pentalobes, which are going to be always at the bottom. You can either get a specialized screwdriver for that, or if you have like if you have the iFixit kits, I think it's a P3 or P2, something like that. I don't know. It's one of the P ones for pentalobe. So, ow, hot. Who'd have thunk it? It was on a 150-degree hot pad, or 75, 80 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to go in the bottom left corner, very easily just slide it in. It'll click, it'll hit the frame, bend upwards a little bit, only go a very little small amount in. And then we'll do our patented opening, take a pick, get it in there right with this guy. Take a little bit of alcohol, the higher the alcohol content the better. Dab it on there and just slide across the edge. Whee! And keeping our thumb on it to keep it tight. We're going to do that same thing again across the bottom. And now on the right hand side, this is where all the flexes are, so you just have to go a little bit careful. You don't want to go too deep in, but it should be nice and smooth all the way up. And then we get to the top, do something that I've figured out how to do over the years. You pull a little pressure on this corner right up here. You anchor it down so it makes a little gap. Take a little alcohol, dab it in there. And then all we do is just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the space will get wider and wider until eventually you just pop it up, pull it open towards yourself, see all the nice little flexes in there. And then all we gotta do is rotate it. And then that is just the adhesive, which if it comes off, big deal. I think you can buy the adhesive, or at least a close to adhesive. I don't know if it's still waterproof, though. So if anybody ever does this, just remember that it's probably no longer going to be waterproof. All right, so we have it all off here like this. And then these are all tri-points on here. So we're going to take our tri-point, which this is a 0.6 tri, or a Y. And this whole plate will come off. It looks like my tri is getting a little stripped, but I have extras, so. Surprisingly, this green one I got in a kit, because sometimes when you order screens, you know, you'll get them, like for those weirder ones, they'll throw you all like the tools you could ever need, but it's like really basic stuff. This one I got off of one of them. It's lasted for a while. But I do have better metal ones that I'm just waiting for this to fail, because I'm not gonna, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of a thing. But I can definitely feel it slipping just a little bit, so. And then as always, I'm putting them up on my pad above me. You can see a little bit of the white at the top of the screen. I have my pad. All right. And then we are going to just take the shield off. It clips at the top and put it up there. There we go. And then first thing we will always do is remove the battery. Or disconnect the battery. Sorry, not remove. Well, we are going to remove it, but we're going to disconnect it. So battery connection is this guy right here. Up. And then since I have to take this all the way off anyways, I'm going to remove the string completely. it'll do two things. One, it'll stop being in the way because otherwise I have to hold the screen on the whole time, which is really, really annoying. And second, then it reduces the chance of me causing any damage to the screens or the front-facing camera. Just nice and easy. And then it is this guy right here. Should pop right up. There we go. That's a little bit sticky, so you just got to be in. And there we go. And then if you watched my XS Max video, they're essentially the same. They use all the same design. This just might be a little different of a design just because of the screen sizes, but the concept is almost identical, where you just got a couple screws that hold it in. More adhesive. It'll hold everything up at the top, and then all you need to do is just take this part off, pop it down, remove it from the little holders that it's in, very carefully, mind you, and then slap it into a new screen. Anyway, so I get that disconnected. Okay. Now, these are just like the other batteries where they have these little tags at the bottom, which when they work, it's awesome. The keyword is when they work. They rarely ever work. At least these ones do. The older styles ones, like the 7s, that stuff comes off real easy, and it makes it super satisfying too, because you can just pull them off and it just goes wee, and then it'll snap off at you real nicely. And if you are using tweezers like this, be careful. These are sharp tweezers, and if you puncture lithium, it is no. It is no bueno. Come on. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those that's not going to work perfectly. Oh, we got some. Probably not going to be able to see very much, but... I'd like to see how an Apple certified tech, because they're supposed to have special techs that do this stuff. I'd like to see how they manage to get it off, because if they put it on, I imagine they can get it off easier than us so-called non-professionals can do it. And by non-professionals, most of the workers at the Genius Bars, I got way more experience than they ever do. Alright, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, so I'm going to lift it up a little bit in the corner here. There is a flex that runs across right here. I'll lift it up just so you can see it a little bit better. But if you look right here, this little guy right there, you got to be extremely careful, because it goes in the same area as the battery does. When you lift the battery out, it's not going to hurt it, but you got to be careful if you're lifting up this side. And then I'm doing that just so I can get some access to it, so I can squeeze a little bit of our alcohol in here, you know, get it nice and chummy. And then I'll tilt it just to get the alcohol in there. I like to work from the bottom up, but there's not as much space to open up anything, so this seems to be working just fine. Now, these batteries are 2 parts, at least the OEM versions are. The ones that you get, they might come and they're all shrink wrapped together. So if you cut the wiring between them, it's fine. It's not going to cause any damage. But you still got to be careful if you cut the actual lithium pack itself. All right, there we go. It's coming up. There we go. Nice and easy. There we go. One part. And that's only just a little bit of the covering for the NFC, so that is totally fine. And then I'm going to rotate it. And we're going to do the same thing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep it this way. I would much rather work from the bottom because they got all these flexes here. I don't want to run the risk of damaging it with this, so I'm just going to very slowly lift this up. And then a little bit of alcohol. And nice and easy. I'm just going very, very slowly. If you're not fast enough, it's totally fine. Just put it back on the hot plate for a few minutes, get it nice and warm again, and try it again. It's one of the easiest and quickest repairs, but it's still at the same time, you know, there's a difference between being super fast and super good. You can be fast and good and fast and bad. There we go. So that's just a little bit of the covering that I scraped off with this, but that is purely superficial. That is not going to cause any damage at all to the functionality. Plus, I didn't even hit these flexes up here, so we are good. Now, I did make an error the last time I did a battery replacement video. I think it was on the... It was the XR, I want to say. When I did put the adhesive strips on, or my adhesive strips, because it didn't come with its own, I did run them across the NFC or the wireless antenna transmitter, and that is generally a no-no. I just did it. I was just too in the moment. I just wasn't thinking at the time. It's not necessarily going to hurt it when you're using it, but if you ever need to replace that battery again with that stronger adhesive, and since it's on top of the antenna, you could cause it to come up with it and cause a rip and a tear. So don't put anything over the antenna, anything sticky. Around it, fine. Nothing on top of it, though. So I made an error in that, so I apologize. Hopefully, looking at it, it probably looked a little strange, and maybe you just kind of just put it where the original one was, which that's always the best. If there's an original part or original placement for something, always try to put it in that same spot. Anyway, so got all the old adhesive off, except this little piece. I wonder if I... There we go. Nice and clean. That's the old battery. And as much as I wish I had a battery tester here, I don't have one. I know QPi, something like that, or Quin something. I don't know. They make a bunch of like diagnostic tools, and they make one where they do it for the screenwriting as well as the battery testing, which is really nice. And I think they also make one where you can plug it into the device to test instead of having the battery out. Because if I would, then I could tell you how accurate the software is on the iPhone, which a lot of times is kind of very hit and miss. So I would have been able to tell you if it was correct or wrong. Anyway, where did I put that? And this was nice enough. These guys have the adhesive already on it. So just got a nice little plastic cover, so I don't even have to do the pasting of it. Which if I did, like I said, I'm not going to put it on top of the transmitter. I would put it like 1 or 2 strips here, and then like 3 or 4 right along here, just so it doesn't wobble around the inside. Which most times you can't tell with how tight fitted they are, but there were a couple of phones. I think the 5 or the 6, where there was space enough. If you didn't put adhesive down, you could actually feel it moving around when you shake the device, which I thought was kind of funny. We'd have a couple people that would, one of the places that I used to work with, we sometimes, in the heat of the moment, we'd forget to put it in, and the customer come back and be like, it feels like my phone's heavier, feels like something's rattling around. We'd open it up and just go, oh, whoops, we forgot to put the adhesive on. We apologize about that. Which, it wouldn't have caused much damage since it barely moved at all, but, it's still not good quality. Anyway, I like to attach the battery temporarily just to get it in the right spot. And then once I put everything down, then I disconnect it again, because now I know that this will fit perfectly on top of that point. All right. Pushing it down, a little bit of pressure, nothing crazy, and take the cover off. These are the batteries I've been using from Fixology.com, and before I started using them for parts, I haven't really heard them, but nobody's come back, so I guess they're pretty good. Alright. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to put the screen back on, connect the front-facing camera with the Face ID portions, connect the screen and the LCD. Come on. Sometimes they don't want to go back in their home, so you just gotta finagle them a little. There we go, clipped in. And then I connect the battery as well. Just gotta wiggle it a little. Come on. Go to your new home. Come on. Oops. Forgot to turn off my hot plate. Which mine luckily goes up pretty quick, but that one's right next to me, so you get pretty warm. Alright, so then after I have that, I'm just going to temporarily, just as long as they're all connected, it'll work. I'm going to hold it down. And these batteries come with a little bit of charge most of the time. Hey, there we go. So, always one of the biggest things is make sure that turns back on afterwards. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to double check that this is pulling power. Alright, so we got a different power. So last time was at red, so it's up there now. Alright. Just go to the battery settings. Sometimes they'll tell you sometimes they'll be different readings now. Alright, so battery capacity is at 100%. It was at 88%, but now it's at 100. And then I'm just going to quickly... Come on. Alright. We got 1 amp of pull, 5.5 volts, and good temperature reading, so we're good, because I know these don't have the fast charging mode yet. Also, I'm only pulling it from this brick, which I think only goes up to 1 amp at a time anyways. Output 0.8 amps, so it's actually putting out a little bit more than what it should. So I would say this will probably pull at about 1.5 is the more common style if you're putting it into like an actual brick. But unfortunately, I don't have anything like that yet. Although I probably should just get one where I can just extend it out from the top and hook this directly into it. But that'll be for future me. And as right now, it is pulling plenty of power. Gets a little warm when it turns on, but that's totally normal. Put you there, you there. Put you back in your little box. I like this one. It's a little more expensive of one, but I like it a lot. And then we're just going to do the final pieces now. So I'm going to put everything back together. Which at the top here, there's a little piece that it has to go under. Just a little bit. And then if you have them labeled correctly, or if you have them organized, for me, I just have them pretty much in a straight row. So I'm just going to go right down. I would say there is one thing about the X's, though, you have to be careful, is the shields are extremely touchy, or like the pressure on them. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, if the shields aren't the correct pressure, it'll either be too much stress on the connector, or it'll be too little pressure on it, and you won't get a good connection. I don't know what it is with the X's. I had one person who came back to me multiple times because it kept doing it. Even when we just, for shits and giggles, we placed the screen just to see if it was still doing the same thing, and it is. So but I did end up getting it. It took like 3 or 4 different times to take this piece on and off just to verify it. But once I did get it and make sure it's perfect at the mount, he didn't have any more problems. Again, I don't know if that was just a one-off thing, but it seems like the X's, they're pressure sensitive. So I would not go wrenching on them hard. Once they start feeling tight, just stop. Like that one, it stopped within a few turns, or within a couple turns. Oops. And that one just missed. I really need to get my holder so I don't get in the way of this. There we go. Okay. And then all we're going to do is sandwich it back together. Start at the top then. Once you get it sandwiched, you'll feel a little click at the top. And then we just work our way down. You'll feel some pops and some clicks. That is totally normal. And then at this point, I'm just going to quickly just double check, make sure there's nothing in the charging point. Clean it out real quick if there is. And there is not. So we're good there. Grab my pentalobes. Grab the other one. Slot it home. Oh. And there we are. And as normal for me, I'm going to quickly give it a clean. Where do I put my cleaner? Yeah, there you are. And then I had a microfiber cloth. There you are. One thing, we're living in an apartment, things seem to get cluttered up more and more. Hopefully, by the end of next summer, I'll have a house. But that's if the market drops, which doesn't seem likely at this point. Anyway, so just give you a little before and after. So it's got some marks on the front, obviously, some grossness right there, probably from an old screen protector. Around the camera's kind of a little bit meh. But nothing horrible, just your general wear and tear. And all I use is just a multi-cleaner. So I'm just gonna spray that onto the cloth first. And wipe the front, the sides. There is some actual scratching on the actual metal itself, but you know that is what it is. Oh, there's a lot on the camera though. And then I would take a toothbrush. A lot of times this little guy here will get kind of gunked up. So you just take a little toothbrush, put a little alcohol on it, and dab in there. One, it'll clean out the button, and also clean out in here. Looks like there's a scratch in that one, so I can't get all of it, but... And then I'll take the dry side. Oops. Keep hitting the camera. And there we go. Much cleaner. And then normally I would be doing repairs with gloves. I just unfortunately haven't been able to get any. The normal gloves I get from a local mechanic shop or mechanic supplier, they haven't gotten them in, and I've really liked these ones. There's none that really seem to compare to them. They're a nitrile based one. They're nitrile. They're black. They're super nice, but I wear mediums because I got small hands. I mean, here's a toothbrush. I got dinky hands, but they're strong, like grip like iron. Anyway, got this all back together, and we are good to go. So I'm gonna charge it up and bring it to them because we're gonna watch a football game tomorrow. So I'm just gonna go bring it with them tomorrow. Anyways, if you liked it, feel free to, I guess I'll do the cliche thing, like and comment, whatever. But if you do have any other suggestions or something else you want me to work in, or if you want even me to work on something of your own that you're not confident about, we can always work out a mailing it in or something like that. Just drop me a message or an email at fixologytechrepairs@gmail.com. Otherwise, I will see you when I get those iPads in. Hopefully it'll be this week sometime. Bye!